In this video, we're going to show the steps to configure a BigFix server to receive information with the rescore changed by Qradar. As you can see, we have already installed the BigFix server, the console, and the agent is on this machine. Even though it is a optional step, we're going to configure SSL communication between BigFix and Qradar. And to do that, you need to do a couple of things. One is you need to actually take the BigFix server certificate and export it to Qradar. And at least on this Windows Server 2012, for you to actually be able to see the certificate and export the certificate, you need to have this feature, enhanced security, off. Otherwise, you will not be able to export the certificate. Export the certificate, open IE, and go to this URL. I'm gonna zoom in here. This is just the server. That's the port for the RESTful API, and then API help, and you get that message. You click continue with these sites. You log in with the credentials that you created when you installed the BigFix server. Oops. And when you put the ID and password, you log in, and now you can click on that icon and see view certificate. You go to details, and this is the button that you will have only if you disable that Internet Explorer security feature. You can put that back on after you have done this. So we're gonna export the certificate, take the default, which is a X509, and we're gonna be putting this on the desktop. Click save, and we're done. And we're going to be using that cert later. Final preparation step is because of the Windows firewall, you need to open some ports in it, like the one we saw right now, 52311, 8080 for SOAP, and for scanning, because this machine will be scanned by the QVM scanner on the Qradar side, ports 445, 139, 137, probably 135 as well. So what I'm going to do, instead of opening all that, I'm just going to run as an administrator and open a command shell and actually disable the firewall altogether. This is done on a demo system. You should not do this on a production system at all, of course. And this is the command to just disable the firewall. Make sure you have the latest version of the BigFix console and client. The console should be at least 926 or higher, and the client 418 or higher or later. The first step will be to install the BES server plugin, and we're going to do that with a Fixlet. We launch the console and log in. Best thing to do at this point is actually make sure that you have all the licenses that you need to make sure that all the Fixlet show relevant. So you go to BigFix Management, you go to License Overview, and in here we are going to be accepting several components. We scroll down to Lifecycle Management, click Accept, and then from this list I'm going to be accepting this for Ubuntu. I have an Ubuntu system here. And I'm going to scroll back down. I'm going to select patches for Windows, English. Patching support. And most importantly, on the security section, these are the ones we have selected so far. So on the security section, we're going to select the one that allows us to see the dashboard for Qradar. So let me scroll down. In this section, security and compliance, we scroll down. We need to accept this license so we can actually select the option that we want, which should read something like Qradar. Keep scrolling down. This is actually the one, Qradar vulnerabilities. So we have all the licenses that we need for this configuration. One is not a bad idea to have is this one, update for Windows application. This is for Java, Flash, and other stuff besides the Windows OS. One step I like to do before I forget and start seeing stuff that should be relevant but is not relevant is make sure that you go into all these external sites for the licenses that we just acquired and make sure that they are all subscribed to all computers. So in this particular case, this one is not, so you click this one and then click on this Save Changes. Same thing here. Otherwise you may run into, again, fixlets that are supposed to be relevant but they are not, because this is one of the missing steps. And I'm not going to do anything with the Mac, but we may do something on the demo with Windows. So you go into all content to install the BES client, and then here on fixlets and tasks you get all the fixlets that are relevant. I click on this option, show non-relevant content, to make sure that it doesn't show me grayed out the stuff that is not relevant. And I'm going to look for the BES server plugin, and here it is, the BES server plugin. So we make sure that we have the BigFix server selected as applicable, and we're going to take action. Click OK. Downloading some stuff. It gets installed. Now if we go back to fixlet and tasks, we see that we have a fixlet that become relevant, which is the server plugin has not been configured correctly. So we click on it to configure that. We see that the take action option is actually grayed out, and that sometimes can be because of some analysis that need to be actually activated. So I'm going to just select them all and actually activate them. Click activate. Well, actually, those steps that we did will save us trouble, particularly installing the Qradar fixlet later. But in here, what we need to do actually, this fixlet, the way you configure it is by actually clicking in these two links. So you go into description, you see these two links, and you click here. You have the URL being put for you. You put the administrator that you created when you installed the BigFix server. I'm going to actually use the same admin and create an account with the same password, not to be confused. But this is creating a separate. Let me make sure I put the password right. And then you click here to execute this action on that computer, which is this server that we are installing this, and that's all it is to it. It's evaluating. Now we go back, and now we can do the SOAP one. But in order to do that, let's do one step that actually is also required. We go here to Tool and create Launch Web Reports. And we're going to create an account here. I'm going to call it admin. Set up a password. And click Continue. We're actually going to take that URL, that web report URL, and we're going to copy it. So we completed that step. And when we go to configure the SOAP, we're going to place that URL here, and we're going to put, again, I'm not to confuse, I'm going to use admin all over the place. And let me make sure I put the password right. And click here to execute this action on the BigFix server. Click OK. Evaluating. One thing you can do to make sure that those steps completed correctly is you can actually go here and again click on the details, description, sorry. Then click, for example, on the RESTful API and see here an action history, and I will explain something in a minute. And it says that it completed OK. And the reason why this action remains highlighted or relevant is because you can actually change that password later. I was actually looking on the wrong place, so if I go back to all the fixlet and put here BES server, notice that it no longer shows that as relevant, and in fact the one that is now relevant is the one for uninstalling it. Okay, but those credentials can be changed anytime that is needed. The next step is install the actual Qradar plugin. And here it is, there's a fix list for that. And again, if you don't see it relevant, make sure that you have all those analyses and all the computers subscribe. And we just take action. It's installing. You refresh the console, you see that it's fixed, meaning that it's installed, and that is going to put a dashboard that we're going to use to see the stuff being sent from Qradar that we can actually now see here. It's not going to have any data because we need to do the part from the Qradar side now. But before we finish this video, there's one more thing that is very important you can do from this panel later, when we get data from Qradar, and that is to be able to quarantine computers. Say that your Qradar comes with, all these vulnerabilities found. The risk score is high because of the condition that Qradar evaluates, and you want to quarantine the endpoints. And for that, if you go back to this fixlets and task here, you have that particular fixlet, which is for quarantine the actual device.